Okay, so should we go into our top sets?
Yeah, go on.
So I'm going to start with an honourable mention from me, which is... I can't in good conscience say that these are actually top sets, or in fact even good sets, but when I started playing, these were the sets that were out at the time, and so I have a huge nostalgic soft spot for Fallen Empires and Homelands, which are generally considered to be some of the worst sets ever printed. And in fact, Homelands, I've managed to complete I've got the complete set of it. I managed to collect all of that. It's pretty cheap to collect because it's so bad. Oh. And the cards are terrible, but the storyline behind it is actually excellent. They put so much love and care and attention into the story and the flavour for that set. And you can download a document online if you hunt around with their sort of like flavour design goals for it. And it's this massive, great document. It's really, it's long and involved and thoughtful, and it's a pity that the cards were just kind of lame. But I love it. I do love Homelands. But our actual top 5 sets. So our first actual favourite set, this is another cheeky one because it's actually more like, 9 sets or 8 sets at this point. Yeah, is Ravnica. Ravnica, City of Guilds.
So flavourful.
Ravnica is set on a world where the entire world is one massive city, which is really cool in and of itself. And so there's a lot of really urban tropes in it. So a lot of these sets, like I said, were ones where they came up with a real world theme and then they sort of design the set around it. Ravnica is kind of unique in that it went the other way around. They decided to make a set about what do each of the 2 colour combinations. So what does white and red look like if you put them together? What does white and black look like if you put them together? They'd played around in the space before, but this was them really going deep into what do these things actually look like in the context of a giant city. And so they created the 10 different guilds, each of which has a really cool, clear identity. What are some of your favourites of the guilds?
I'm a big Boris fan.
Boris are
I don't know why I'm into police
white
brutality,
and red faction. So white is sort of protection and honour, and red is the aggression and militarism. You put them together and you get very angry riot police, basically. Yeah. They're not great if you think about the flavour in real world terms, but like I just love. Actually, that sort of ambiguous flavour is something I like about Ravnica. All of the guilds have ways in which they are the good guys, and they've all got ways in which they are the bad guys. Yeah. And they've all got ways in which you can sort of see how people would believe what they say, and they've all got ways where they're totally being hypocritical about everything.
Boris
and that's
like,
cool.
We uphold justice, but really they're just another gang.
But at the same time, like, when you've got armed street thugs and, all sorts of things out there, you sort of need someone like them, and they really do seem to believe their own hype.
But I really like Rakdos.
Rakdos are amazing. They're so cool.
The carnies.
Yeah, so black and red. Black is like the...
corruption and decay.
Ambition and death and... Yeah. I know Magic doesn't like to call anybody evil anymore, but black's the sort of stereotypically the evil faction. And then red with the aggression and the fire. And you put them together, what do you get? Carnies!
Yeah. So you get, like, sort of torture theatre.
Yeah.
Seems to be their theme. It's full of
pretty much
devils and stuff like that. But
like devils and jester hats.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of fun to them that in a lot of worlds, black-red is just like nasty and violent, whereas here they are nasty and violent, but
for your
they're
pleasure.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
I quite like the Selesnya, who are the white and the green, and they're basically like nature communists.
Yeah.
Like they all actually live in communes and interact with the dryads and the trees, which are very sort of, they've got neighbourhoods where they've planted these giant trees, and it's like, this is where we're going to live. It's not nature doing natural things, but it's man and nature sort of working together.
In concept, I like, but in actuality, I hate Orzhov.
They were the next one I was going to say.
The white black, the capitalists, who are like...
The Church of Capitalism.
The Church of Capitalism, who are like, on the one hand, you know, white is the colour in Magic, it's the colour of civilization and law and things like that.
Yeah.
And black being the colour of corruption.
Ambition and corruption.
Yeah, it's
Put
like,
them together and you get capitalism.
Yeah, you get...
And also...
worship of money.
Yeah, worship of money. And so the idea with the Orzhov is when you sign your contract with them, it doesn't end with your life. And so they have all these enslaved ghosts still paying off their debts, which they can never actually pay off. And I know you find the mechanics annoying and they're not my favourite to play.
Yeah,
but the flavour of them is so cool.
They're a lot about just locking you down and making you unable to do stuff, which
and then taxing you to death.
Yeah, I don't find that fun. Like, I'd much rather you shoot my creature and it was dead than you lock my creature down and it's just stuck on the board.
And then start paper cutting you.
Yeah.
But no, they were the other one I was going to mention. Oh, and the Izzet.
Oh, I
love the Izzet.
Yeah.
The Izzet are blue, who are about intelligence and the mind, cerebral pursuits. And red, which is, again, aggression and passion. And so you put those together and you get mad scientists.
Yeah, so cool.
Led by a utterly narcissistic dragon wizard who's made the entire faction in his own self-image, basically. Mm-hmm. Just the biggest genius in the entire plane, but also the most arrogant, narcissistic person in the entire plane. And they're just really cool. They're all about casting big spells, and the bigger the better, and there's lots of randomness and things that just explode, and yeah, I love them. And then they see why it explodes and they iterate the design until they get something that works or explodes better.
And there's heaps that we haven't even brought up that is really cool.
Yeah, it's just for me, it's the first Magic world that is uniquely Magic the Gathering.
Absolutely.
The big worlds before this one, like Dominaria, which was where Magic was set for the first 10 years or so, really was just originally generic fantasy world and then sort of got coloured in as they went along. Whereas Ravnica is from principles, from ground up, we are building a world that works with Magic and its tropes. And I think that's why they keep going back to it. So they had Return to Ravnica, and then they had Guilds of Ravnica, which was Return to Ravnica. And anyway, what's our next one?
Innistrad.
Innistrad is the Gothic horror set.
Yep. Say no more.
Say no more. If you've been listening to us, you know that we loved Curse of Strahd, Ravenloft, Dracula.
Yeah. It's got werewolves. Werewolves are cool.
It's got werewolves.
Werewolves transform. You flip the card over.
Which was a whole new thing that they came up with there.
Yeah.
There'd been so many attempts in the past. Have you seen the horrible Kamigawa flip cards?
No.
Where there's two half-sized cards and you flip it they look so ugly. And Innistrad came up with the idea of, why don't we just print a card face on each side of the card and then you can flip it back and forward. And it requires, you've got to play with card sleeves or they put some proxy cards in, so it's a little bit messy. But in the actual gameplay, the gameplay is so smooth. But also Innistrad, Gothic horror, the focus around the graveyard and things dying, and then you can bring them back. Every colour's got different things it can do with all its sort of resources that have already been used and all the creatures that have died already. There's so many references to Gothic horror tropes and situations. The art is really creepy. I can't remember what it's called. There's one which is like the village cannibals, basically. And the art is your point of view looking up at all these people who are surrounding you in a room, just looking down at you. And, you can't see anything, but it's just, it's so good. The mechanics are spot on, just absolutely wonderful. There were so many cool characters in Innistrad who I just really enjoy. I like Gisa and Geralf. You pulled Gisa the other day. First copy of her. Who are evil sibling necromancers. One of them is a traditional necromancer, the other one's like a Dr. Frankenstein-style necromancer. And they work out their sibling rivalry by waging necro-warfare against each other. And then they write each other snarky letters about, you cheated! No, I didn't cheat. I can do whatever I want. No, it's not fair. Really fun characters. They're returning to Innistrad again later this year, and, well, we'll see if we have to spend more money on that.
God.
But yeah, really cool world, well-designed,
Yeah.
Lots of flavour potential.
Shut up and stop taking my money.
Yeah. Stop designing cool things that I like, wizards. So our next one is Theros.
Yeah.
And it's another one of these. They call them top-down, which is where they come up with an idea and then they design all the cards to match the idea. This one was the Greek mythology world. And we are such massive mythology nuts that we kind of had to love this one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they basically did everything right by pretty much just sticking with what tropes people are aware of.
Yeah.
Greek stuff. You know, very Hercules and Xena.
Yeah, there's a few more Leviathans and Krakens than there are in actual Greek mythology, but I'm willing to forgive them that one. Theros, for us, was a particularly important set, because I know mechanically it's not actually the best set ever. It's not the worst set ever either, though. But one of the things that they did when they released the original Theros is they said this is the story of a hero and the hero's journey, and so they had these series of challenges that you could do over the course of the original 3 Theros sets. There were 9 challenges where you could basically level up you got to be the hero and you got to participate in the story and level up your character and then take on these challenge decks, which were little decks that ran themselves. And so you could all team up to fight the challenge. And so I built a theme deck themed around Elspeth, who was the hero of that storyline. And I fought my way through all of the challenges. And then I met Claire, which I think I've met you before, but, you know, that was when we started going out. And so the final challenge for this was that we had to fight a god. And at this point in the storyline, Elspeth had just made a new best friend. Well, not a new best friend, but her one of her old allies had come to help her in the battle against the god Xenagos, who was Ajani. Is Ajani the first magic character that you really sort of connected to, Claire?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would you say that was?
Because he's a cat person.
Because he's a cat, really. Yeah, I like Ajani. He's cool. So I built Claire a themed Ajani deck out of just the spare stuff that I had. And as a result, I had to cut some of the Ajani themed stuff out of my own Elspeth deck and put it into Claire's deck. And then I just grabbed just whatever Elspeth themed cards I had lying around to just fill up the holes in my deck. Little did I realise that I had accidentally created a combo. Had I ever. So Claire and I went to the Games Day Challenge with our theme decks, and we were the first people at our store to fight Xenagos in the ultimate challenge against the hardest challenge deck. Which, I mean, all of these challenge decks, if you built a deck specifically to beat them, they just fall apart.
We were also the last people.
I think we were also the last people to take on these things.
To finish playing because...
Well, turns out my combo that I'd accidentally made utterly broke the challenge.
Yeah.
Turned out Xenagos didn't really have any good ways to deal with if you gained life. And I had a little 1/1 lifelink creature, and I had a spell that said every time I gain life, this creature gains that many +1/+1 counters. So what that effectively meant was that every time it hit, I would gain life, and then it would double in size. And the challenge deck had nothing to answer this at all.
Here I was sitting with my Ajani, whose biggest ability was giving me 100 life, thinking,
100
yeah, I'm going to
life.
get 100 life. I'm going to pop his ultimate, and I'm going to get 100 life. And I did do that. I did.
You start
that
the game with
times.
20 life for reference.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I did it a couple
100
times.
life is like, 100 life.
But James ended up on like 7 million life.
Something like that.
With a creature 14 million.
14 million creature. Yeah.
It was...
And so everyone in the shop was sort of wandering over to watch and asking, what's your life total at now? And we're like, we're up to 5 million life now.
Yeah, because we could have ended the game if we had swung at Xenagos. But we decided, no.
We're going to take out everything that Xenagos has.
Yeah.
We're going to take every option away from him, destroy every one of his followers.
Let's just see how big we can grow.
Yeah, and once Xenagos ran out of fuel...
All our tokens as well. We kept generating tokens. So we ended up with something like 200 priests and soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I had a card that could make priest tokens, and so I churning out priests, and my Elspeth could make 3 little 1/1 soldier Gribblies, and you could make cats, and we just had battalions and legions of. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. It was absolutely amazing. As a result, this was sort of one of our seminal early dates. Yep. Still remember it fondly. And so, Theros will always have a soft spot in our hearts.
And then also you've got a mega cube of it now.
When they released the new Theros set, I wound up building a cube of it. Most of my cubes I build tend to just be on the theme of 2 of every common, 1 of every uncommon. Cool, done, cheap and easy. Our Theros one, on the other hand, after that experience, we couldn't just do a cheap Theros cube.
It had to be high powered.
So this is where we made one, and the theme is... It's a Johnny cube. It's not always the most powerful cards, but it's the biggest cards. It's everything that says double.
Yeah, so that's
everything
where
that says triple.
Yeah, that's where I've got my Aqua Hydra Spider thing. Yeah. That's been a meme for us.
Yeah. So what was it? It was a spider.
It was a spider that was like a 5/5 anyway, and it had reach, and I think it created little spiderlings.
Yeah.
And I made
then you played a thing that made it...
Aqueous form and Hydra form, and so
Aqueous meant that it couldn't be blocked because it was made of water,
yes.
And Hydra meant it doubled its size every turn.
Yeah. So...
Aqua Hydra Spider. So much fun. I think it's my favourite of all our things we've got.
It's pretty nuts.
And
that's fun. You need to have
it's fun and it's big and it's
if you
a little bit trashy.
If you want crazy high-powered fun, it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
But another thing that we got... actually, this was me. This is one that was most, my thing that I latched on.
I think it was immediately after Theros, I went, I'm out. We're done. I
got a girlfriend now. I'm too busy for this nerd stuff.
I'm not going to play any more Magic now. And the next set came out... Clear.
Yeah, we were probably playing L5R or something.
Yeah, Legends of the Five Rings was always my main game until it ended.
So we're hanging out at King of Cards, and I think I was just killing time, and I went and looked over at all the Magic singles, and I just started to realise, there's some sort of storyline going on at the moment, and it looks really cool, and there's a story going through all of these cards, and the set is this setting of this desert sort of steep place. There's it's really cool, and what's going on here? And James explained to me it's this thing called Khans of Tarkir, where there's these 5 tribes, and they all have different ways of living, and the different colours of magic play into it thematically. There are 3 colour tribes, much how Ravnica is 2 colours.
Yeah, this is all about the 3 colour.
Yeah, and I was just I was hooked. Game of Thrones was pretty big at the time, and I sort of had a similar reaction to it of
this is all sort of Central Asian themed. Which is really cool.
But what I just liked about it was that it was here are these different sort of kingdoms, and they each have their different character, and that's why it sort of reminded me of Game of Thrones. And also there was the theme of dragons in the background.
It's sort of in the background.
But I was just so intrigued by it going on that I wanted to get it, and so we ended up making a little clan deck for each clan and facing it
doing
off
little tournaments with we got the sleeves with the symbols of the different clans, which turned out to be rubbish because they're not very good sleeves.
They were good sleeves.
Whoops. But we had so much fun playing with them. Who was your favourite in the end?
I honestly don't know, because I just love the flavour of it all. Probably back then I would have said Abzan, because it's
Abzan
they are
the sort of Middle Eastern.
Yeah, sort of a Persian, Babylonian, defensive city with walls and gardens. So it's white for city, green for gardens, and then a little bit of black for there's a bit of a death cult in the city, and pretty cool. Yeah. But then usually I don't like black, and especially when the cards
black
are
has a tendency to be gross.
Yeah. If the cards are all gross and death themed, and they've got maggots spilling out of skulls, I'm no thanks, I'm not playing black. But the thing is that with the one that was mainly black, Sultai, they went for this whole swampy India,
massive
decadence, opulent, treasure cruise, Nagas
so
living
stylish.
in there, and they have zombies for slaves, and there was just something so there was something very gay about it. Like, you know, it was
actually, yeah, very
camp.
showy.
Yeah, it was all like drag
yeah.
queen almost, except they were nagas.
It is such a cool.
There was just such nice flavour to it. It was black for the decadence and decay, and then like green for like no, was it primary blue?
It was
secondary blue after that, or
black, blue, and green.
Black, blue, green, yeah. So like green, it had some big guys, and blue, it did have a bit of a focus on like magical effects.
Yeah.
I'd actually, and then I did really like Mardu after that, because that was all about the like, hey, gobbos! Quick!
Little people!
Go raid!
I like their goblins too. Actually, it's something that Magic always does really well. They're good goblins.
I do like their goblins.
All their goblins are so unique on every world. That's really cool.
So that was like...
They're like little tiny mini yetis.
That was like you're invading like Mongolian sort of inspired...
So they were red and black for like savagery and violence, but they were also white because they all worked together really well and they all had each other's backs.
Yeah, the lore of... It's like the lore of the tribe... sort of like...
We're just going to say all of them at this point.
Yeah, then my next favourite, this is a top 5 within a top 5.
Ooh.
Then I liked Temur next, so like 4th place for me is Temur, who were the main green one, and they were sort of like...
Russian.
Almost Siberian.
Yeah.
Like,
so they were like
sort of
violent...
Tribal
people,
type,
but with like really mystical shamans as well.
Yeah, connections with animals.
Yeah, so they were
stuff.
Blue and red and green.
Yeah, mainly green because big stompies.
And then your least favourite, which was actually my favourite.
Which is fine. Like,
which is
great.
Cool. That's nice when that happens because that's complimentary. With the Jeskai, who were white and blue, so they were like peaceful, meditative monks. But they're also red, so they'll also punch your face off.
Yeah. For me, my problem with them is that, like, I actually, probably now that I've played Magic for, like, 7 years now?
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like seriously, rather than just when I played as a kid or as a teenager. I now know that actually blue isn't my favourite colour because it's where you get the more complicated combos going.
Yeah.
And I'm a far more simple player who likes very direct, like...
There's a reason you like goblins so much.
Yeah, I smack you in the face. That is my combo.
Yeah.
My hand, your face. That's the combo.
It's a good combo.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you like to do really tricky things.
I like things that are a little bit trickier.
Yeah,
so I really liked Jeskai, who are all about chaining multiple spells together and then all your people get benefits from it, and so that's really fun.
Aesthetically, it's really cool, but it's like the play style.
But yeah, the aesthetic of all of Khans was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a real shame.
Yeah, it built so much up to dragons!
The storyline was about this world where the dragons were extinct, and then the main character who loved dragons went back in time, and as a result, he started a new timeline where dragon. And so all the Khans and all the old clans were gone, and they'd been replaced by dragons, and this was meant to be like, look, everything is better.
It was just kind of lame.
It just wasn't, though.
I hope they do return to Tarkia and someone like goes and was like, hey, Sarkin, your changes suck. I'm going to fix Tarkia.
Well, it seems like the entire Magic fan base agrees with us that Dragons of Tarkia, they kind of fumbled, whereas Khans of Tarkia was amazing and just
the identity is
one
really
of the coolest sets that they've well, we think one of the top 5 coolest sets they've ever done. And so ever since then, they've been doing more and more like, here's cards that refer to that timeline that doesn't exist anymore as like throwaway things.
Oh, they tease.
They've got one character now who has sort of found out that there's an alternate timeline out there. So she might be responsible for maybe like getting the best of both worlds, right? Like maybe we could have the Khans come back. Yeah. But still have dragons? That would be nice.
Well, like, Narset got to
That's
escape.
Narset.
Oh, it is Narset.
It is Narset.
Oh, so she's figured out that she's sort of part of 2 timelines.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's why her latest card, she went back to being white and blue and red.
Ah, right.
And she's found sort of like the secret histories of this is what happened. There was a time before the dragons, and so...
That's so cool. I'm excited.
I feel like if...
Damn it, they're going to pull us back in if they do.
Yeah, totally. If they decide to go back to Tarkia again, I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to wind up doing a retcon where they manage to just smush the 2 timelines together and go, there are dragons and Khans. But that said, I did at least like the idea of, in Dragons, in Khans you had the 5 leaders of the clans, and then come Dragons, they reprinted all of them to show what they were like in the alternate timeline. So the leader of the Mardu, who is this massive orc, is this menial servant who is in charge of ringing the bell. Whereas, the leader of the Sultai got killed off for plotting and then reanimated as a zombie, which is so cool.
Yeah.
The leader of the monks reached enlightenment with the help of a dragon teaching her, and so she ascended and became a planeswalker, like the players. And who were the other ones? Oh, the leader of the Abzan, the Persian people, kept worshipping the secret death cult, and so she got executed, and it's her ghost.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Anafenza.
And then what about
Timur? Oh, Surak. He just became the guy who's in charge of getting enough meals to feed his dragons. Yeah. So
How the Mighty Have Fallen.
How the Mighty Have Fallen, yeah. And then our final favourite set is Throne of Eldraine.
Which so many people hate, but we love.
So, if you play Throne of Eldraine if you play Magic at a competitive level and you care about all the rare cards, Throne of Eldraine had so many ridiculously overpowered cards in it.
That got banned.
It's sort of a new, which is another thing we should have said for Flaws of Magic. They started more recently designing cards that are deliberately too powerful so that they can sell packs. And then, rather than testing them out beforehand, it's like they're saying, it's easier to just ban everything afterwards.
Yeah,
and so,
nuts.
Throne of Eldraine,
Wasn't it something crazy there have been more cards banned in the last year than in the past, 20 years?
Something like that, the first 20 years versus something along those lines, yeah. Throne of Eldraine has a really bad reputation for some of the utterly ridiculous cards in it.
And also, I think, didn't they sort of muck up the release of it online as well, so it didn't get very good play in Arena?
Oh, yeah. The way in which the way it was drafted online, they mucked that up too.
Yeah.
But Throne of Eldraine's gameplay for the commons and the uncommons is the best of any set that we've played.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we love it.
We love to draft it.
It's so rich. It's so rewarding. There's so many combos. There's so many different permutations of what works and what doesn't work. Normally, they'll design a draft set so that you can build a deck for about 5 to 10 different colours reliably, or colour combinations. And Throne of Eldraine managed to hit about 15 different varieties, which is
not all
so
of them
cool.
As well as each other, and it's if we were to revise the thing,
some of them could be made a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Some of them could anyway. Throne of Eldraine also, its theme is exactly our jam.
Yeah,
because if you know anything about me or the name of our son, then you'll know that we quite like, and I quite like King Arthur and the Arthurian mythos. I've said before on this podcast that King Arthur Pendragon is the best role-playing game I've ever played. I've got a pretty extensive collection of medieval Arthurian manuscripts. How many copies of Mort Arthur do I have now? I don't even know. And there's another one on the way from a Kickstarter. Annotated. Yeah. So a set that's themed around the knights and those sorts of knightly medieval romances is exactly my jam. But Throne of Eldraine isn't just the King Arthur set. It's also
fairy tales.
Oh,
freaking sweet.
And that's kind of like
it's my jam.
Your jam.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the fairy tales that they reference in here?
Oh, God, all of them. Cinderella, Hansel and Gretel, Sleeping Beauty. Just
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, yeah,
Little Mermaid.
Seven Dwarves.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Seven Dwarves.
I mean, and there's more obscure stuff in there as well. It's great.
Yeah.
And also there's, things in there. Oh, the Frog Prince and stuff. There's so many things in there where as you're playing, you can sort of Jack and the Beanstalk.
You can sort of make your own stories happen with the combinations of cards. I love how True Love's Kiss, which is just this common card that just a meaningless common card. It destroys a couple of minor card types, but everything that it destroys in Throne of Eldraine is basically the sort of curse that you would get
an
rescued from
enchantment,
by True Love's Kiss.
Yeah.
So you can free the princess who's trapped in the tower
You
with True Love's Kiss.
You can free the frogified person.
Yeah, you can free the frog with True Love's Kiss.
Yeah.
It's just a really sweet set. Also, gotta say, Magic started doing little mini movie trailers for its sets.
Oh, yes.
And they're pretty good. But the one for Throne of Eldraine is the best thing ever.
Go and watch it, seriously.
We've had so many friends who hadn't played Magic who we went, you've got to watch this, you've got to watch this trailer, and we would show them that, and they'd go, I have no idea what any of this means, but I have to find out.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
that was the one about Magic. We did it.
Now, we'll probably wind up doing more episodes about Magic in the future.
Totally. More negative ones. Hey.
But also, like, we've been getting into Pauper as a format, which is the all commons one, and so we might well do a Pauper video in the future, or we might talk about our Planeswalker format that we've made up, or I'm sure we'll wind up doing more about Magic in the future. But that's our sort of grand overview of Magic, pros, cons. Would you recommend Magic to people?
No, because that would be pushing a drug.
For me, it's like, yes, I'd recommend Magic to people, but I don't think I'd recommend that they buy it unless they've got a very large disposable income.
Yeah, I would rather push something like Pandemic on people. I'd rather push a finished, like, here's the complete thing, don't get addicted, Magic is a drug, and
we have so many different, like,
not ethical to
here's
push
Magic in a box. Enough for everyone.
True, yeah.
So I would absolutely
do actually push it on people.
I love doing that sort of thing. It's like, hey, come over, you don't need to bring anything, we'll provide everything, let's just have some fun.
Yeah, cubes are where it's at.
Yep.
I love cubes.
All our little cheap cubes.
Yeah. Cubes or sets where we've made like a little collection of decks like we did for Takia. Just here's the experience summed up in a
your laptop right now is resting on top of our Ixalan box set, which is they'd released as like a board game. We just sort of tweaked it up a bit, and so it's got little themed decks in it. It's cute. It's fun. Yeah, we can just have some people over and have a game of that.
All
so
right.
What do you think about Magic? Do you play? What are your favourite sets? If you're convinced that Mercadian Masks was the best set ever, then let us know.
Do you think I'm a filthy casual? I am. I don't care what you think.
We are filthy casuals. We are like the most veteran, experienced filthy casuals.
It's true. Cool. In terms of other Skybear Games news,
we have a special.
We do?
A special treat for you next week.
We do?
We're doing a live stream next week.
Yeah! God, how did I forget?
Yeah. So,
actually, no. When people hear this, it's going to be Monday.
Oh, do we need to give them more time?
No. When people hear this, it's going to be Monday. So it's not next week. It's literally on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening
to this, like, actually on time, but we'll say it on our Instagram and stuff.
So yeah.
For sure.
So you've doubtlessly picked up by now that I'm quite a fan of gamebooks. We did our Fabled Lands playthrough before where Claire died repeatedly.
So many times. And I'm a huge fan of Lone Wolf and fighting fantasy. Well, I managed to get my hands on some rather unique old Pick-a-Path books from TSR, the original publishers of Dungeons & Dragons. They released a series of Pick-a-Path books called Endless Quest, which were... For girls!
No, Endless Quest is the ones for boys. These ones, it's basically Pick-a-Path Dungeons & Dragons, but these ones are for girls. They're called Heart Quest.
Oh!
And it's Pick-a-Path to adventure and romance.
Oh, wow. Oh, just what a girl wants.
So we got the first 4.
And we will read
out of 6. We'll see how we're going for time and how many people are watching us. We'll read at least one of them. See how our voices blast.
Really looking forward to it.
And if you wind up coming on the live stream, you can choose. You can help, weigh in on our choices. Which romantic partner will we go for? Oh boy! So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons and romance. Something to look forward to or cringe about awfully.
There's more to look forward to. We've got an exciting announcement coming up at a time. I don't even know what time I can announce this announcement.
Oh yeah, no, we do.
Yeah.
We have an extremely exciting announcement
Yeah. Will I be announcing it on the next podcast? I don't even know.
that we will announce at a time.
At a time.
At a time. Apart from that, is there anything else we want to plug? I'm up to 90,000 words for Dragons of Tyrrhenia. A little bit stalled out at the moment.
Yeah, I'm massively stalled too on what I'm working on. As I said in the blog last time, you can keep abreast of all of us on the blog. Yeah, life is hard right now.
Yeah. Finally started doing a non-Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game online. A return to Legend of the Five Rings. I expect we'll do another Legend of the Five Rings related content thing at some point in the future because I am having so much fun returning to that world, and I am looking forward to finding out which of my players gets splattered by an ogre. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. By my time. By your time, well, we'll already know.
Yeah. All right, I think that's about it.
That's about it for us.
Don't play Magic. I mean, play it if you want.
Play casually with us. But don't buy a $1,000 piece of cardboard. But do play casually with your friends because it's fun. But don't get addicted, which, like, haha, if you play, you're going to get addicted.
Pulling you back in!
Just like us!
Yeah.
Anyway, that's us. Check out all of our other stuff. Go listen to a back episode if there's one you haven't listened to. And keep gaming.